So, dear colleagues, we are coming to an end of a very interesting 2 days of scientific discussion and activities. And I will give you a more personal view of what happened in these 2 days, how I view it, and how I started to get engaged in this topic. I received from the National Academy of Sciences a phone call, I think it was Lorraine and Joe's husband, and they asked me whether I, as president of IAP, would be interested in this topic and whether we would join. And normally I'm always very optimistic and I always say, of course, we will do this, although we don't have any money, but I think money will always come if you have a good idea. So I said, I have to discuss it with my colleague Robin Fierce. And we thought it would maybe be of interest, not to the general global science academy networks, but maybe to ESAC, European Academy Science Advisory Council, because we have members from Science Academy in Norway, in Sweden, Finland, Denmark, and all these nations, of course, own part of the Arctic. So at the next meeting we had in ESAC, at our bureau meeting, where we have a close group of experts, president, vice president, and program directors, and so forth, we brought this topic up. And at the first moment, there was silence. And then I asked these colleagues from Norway, I said, Lars, how about Norway? He said, well, Volker, I have to check at home. I don't know. We checked with a vice president, comes from Sweden. And we asked her. And so we asked the Finnish. And we wrote a letter to the Danish colleagues. And I even wrote a letter to the president of the Russian Academy of Sciences, because we thought Russia should take part. As it turns out, it was not so easy to spot and identify the colleagues who were actively engaged in research in the Arctic. And obviously what happened is that either those are not members of these academies, or they are not active enough in the academies and really ring the bell and say, look, we have to do something, so that those who have entirely different research area, and this of course is the majority of the member of an academy, they're not interested in what is going on in the Arctic, that so this is a hidden topic which is of importance. I have realized this here, no doubt, but we have to make an advertisement for it. And I would think the advertisement can not only be that we always talk about risk. It is very common in medicine, for example, that if you want to have a project and you want to have the project get financial support, and my background is medicine, you always come up and say, whenever we detect this and this and this, we will help the people and the cure will be better and so forth. And I don't think that, I think this is the wrong approach here. I think those nations who own the Alaska and own the Arctic, they have a responsibility for the nature, and they have a responsibility for the people living there. And I think it should be good enough to get, as Mark was saying, to convince philanthropic founders to provide some money. This is my personal view, and we should stop constantly talk about looking for risk. We should look and describe what is going on, and if this is going on. And I think if we look for Friday for Future, we can learn how children view it, and how children, come back to the table in our home and tell us what we as adults have not done. So we agreed, ESAC agreed, and IAP agreed to participate. I must say I enjoyed very much, Diane and Lorraine, the discussion we had in our Zoom conferences, and I learned a lot, and we tried, to bring input to the topic. And when we had this wonderful topic, I still have to read it again, saying understanding and responding to global health security risk. There we have risk for microbial threat in the Arctic. We said, okay, where do we find all these scientific experts? And it turned out it was not even easy for my American colleagues. They also had to think several times to identify this person and this person. But I think probably everybody who is, top scientist in the area is sitting here now. I'm convinced. What I have heard has convinced me a lot. We picked the right people. But the question, of course, is, did everybody come? And Lorraine, I think everybody we asked came. And I'm very glad that we also got our Russian colleagues. I really have to emphasize this, because my approach with the Russian Academy of Sciences failed. My approach and Robin's approach to write a mail to a young scientist who is a member of the Global Young Academy. This is a group of worldwide young scientists, a group which has been founded by IAP and which is very active as the best scientists of young people. They can be a member for 5 years of this group, and then they step down. Other young people come, and this is a tremendous network. And one was a Russian fellow. He is now in Novosibirsk. So I wrote to him and said, Sasha, I need your help. Identify this in your country. He said, Volker, I did. I don't have anybody. And without Britta sitting there, we would not have you over there. She identified you. She's and she said, I know them. And then we wrote to you, and then you came. So thank you for coming. I think it is so important that you are here. So my question now to all of you is, was it topic we choose the right topic? Or would you have rather had a different topic, what we should discuss here? You have to answer, it's not me, because I'm not an expert. But I think maybe next time, and we have a spin-off, and this was already mentioned, that out of this discussion here, we will get other workshops. And probably this would be worthwhile really to do. I mean, I know that in these days, without social sciences, you cannot really do anything anymore. One has probably to get them in. And maybe we have to convince social sciences to go up there and study and help and, you know, open up so that society gets interested more of what's going on there. So I think we have a good representation of scientists here. But my question is, did we really fulfill our job and discuss this really in depth, what the topic really was expecting from us? That's the question everybody of us has to answer himself. I think we covered a lot, and I'm very happy about the last hour we were talking about risk, because this was a term which was hardly used yesterday. Well, we are of course individual ones, but it's risk as a way to approach it, and risk as a topic to address this, and not only have the risk very narrow only to the identification of a possible pathogen. I think it's something I think which is worth continuing. So if I sum it up for myself, it was wonderful to be here. Although I have the shortest trip to do, it's only 2.5 hours by train. Yeah? So I appreciate very much that everybody came, that you did not mind, you know, to travel and come here. And I think what we learn from each other is to listen, to learn, to appreciate the different approaches taken. And I think I'm really convinced it was worth our effort, it was worth the money we have spent, and I'm sure that this will be not the last time that the majority of us come again together for the next question which are coming up. Thank you very much for coming, and I wish you a very good trip home. Thank you.